Yes, hi all the students. Welcome to Icon SaysCat YouTube channel. My name is Anil Chaudhary, and we people know that we are running a series of such videos where we are discussing the actual interview experiences of many students who are having the interviews with the various B schools. Standing with me is Vanchita Surya, and just 1 hour back, she had her interview with IMI Delhi. Okay, so we are going to discuss with Vanchita to understand the first-hand experience of her interview with IMI Delhi. And whatever discussion we people are going to take, we people are going to have in these videos, it will not only help for that particular college only, but any B school you talk about, you will actually get an idea what kind of questions are generally there. So Vanchita, I guess in the series of all the calls which you have got, this
This was
was
the
the first
first
one.
interview.
Okay. So now Vanchita, tell me how actually the process went, what kind of questions were there?
The interview started at 5 p.m., but I was actually there in the waiting room for 3 hours because
My
of
God.
my
Okay.
because of my name, which it is the last in the alphabetical order. So I was there in the waiting room for 3 hours. The interview started at 5 p.m.
Okay.
They started with introduce yourself, the very basic question. I did that. Then continuing to
Tell me one
that,
thing, was the panel patient enough to listen to all the answers?
no, no,
Okay,
they were
okay.
cutting in the
And
middle.
how many panelists were there?
There were two, a male panelist and a female panelist. They are middle age, around 40, 40ish.
Mm-hmm.
So they were not very patient. They were kind of cutting me in between, or they were but it was an interactive session,
Okay,
more
okay.
of an interactive session than I would say intrusive one. So
Okay, okay.
the
So
panel,
you gave your introduction first.
yeah.
And then any question from that?
Yeah, so she mentioned that you've done your graduation in BCom Finance. Then she started questions on BCom finance related questions. For example, securitization, debt, bonds, zero coupon bonds, NPAs, etc. There were many in the series. I was able to crack all those ones.
Okay. So one thing all the students do understand, your field of graduation plays the most important role, and possibly a lot of questions may be from that. So whatever your field of graduation is, do understand, brush up all the concepts and be ready with which was your favorite subject. Anyway, that question was not there for Vanchita, but the moment she said that she was a student of BCom Finance, a lot of discussion pertaining to finance was there. And this is something which commonly all the students keep sharing. So please ensure that graduation subjects, don't ignore them. Okay. So after having a discussion on finance, then what?
Then the interviews were shifted to the male panelist, where he
Okay.
actually asked that what was the thing that you were doing since last 3 hours.
So that was the very first question by him.
Yeah, that was the very
Okay.
first
And
question.
see, students, the point is actually you logged in at around 1:30 or 2 p.m.
Yeah, for the
And your number
orientation.
was at 5. So for last 3 hours, what were you doing? And what was your answer to this question?
The place where I did a major mistake was I said that I was studying GK, and then there was a lot of bullying on GK,
Okay,
general
okay.
awareness. He firstly asked, why do you think MBA aspirants should have general awareness?
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I answered that it's not just about bookish knowledge, but it's about what is happening in the entire society, the nation, globe, etc. So then the questions happened on GK. India's 5 trillion economy was an easy question. Then I tried to deflect those questions towards my area of business, that is textiles. But then he started grilling on questions that is general awareness on textiles.
See, but tell me one thing, how did they come to know about textiles?
Because they asked me, why do you think GK is important in MBA, in any other, in your graduation as well, or whatever you do right now?
Okay, okay,
Exactly.
okay.
So then I mentioned that I was partly invested in my business as well.
Okay.
So there they asked me this.
Yes, so all the students do understand. These interviewers, they actually don't sit with a set of fixed questions. So whatever answers you people are giving, purely on the basis of that, the next set of discussion, the next set of questions will be there. So you people have to ensure that either you have to be smart enough to guide the panel in the direction which is your strength area. Now, as Vanchita mentioned about I was reading GK, a lot of grilling took place on GK. Possibly, I know Vanchita, that was one such area where actually you wanted to avoid the questions. But
Yes.
unfortunately, the moment the moment you said GK, and moreover, when you said that about the textile industry or whatever your family business was, I guess it is related to textiles.
Textiles, yeah.
So textiles with GK. Now questions based on that. Okay, so can you just elaborate what kind of questions were
Questions
there?
that are, what are the major countries that are competitors of India?
Okay.
What is the
Bangladesh.
Yes, Bangladesh.
Okay.
Then
Were you aware of this?
uh,
Okay, okay.
it was a
Bangladesh is competing very seriously.
very seriously,
Yes.
which I mentioned. They asked for the neighboring countries, so I said China can be one of them, and I'm pretty sure about Bangladesh. So these two were something like that. Then they asked about what is the exporting capacity of textiles of Bangladesh, which I was completely unaware of. So I said, sir, I am sorry, I am not really aware of this question. Then they shifted to simple GK questions, which I believe I was able to handle. That
Like?
is on the economic survey, not the survey, the economic review that passed yesterday. Then there was about the
So were you able to give the answers to
Yeah,
those questions?
yeah.
All right. All the students, please ensure that be in regular touch with the newspapers. And yesterday, students, instead of economic survey, the government of India released the Indian economy a review. An economic survey will actually come post elections just before the full-fledged budget. So students, that is a document of around 74 pages. It is produced by, it has been prepared by the chief economic advisor. Now, if I ask a question, who is India's chief economic advisor? ये question पूछा क्या आपसे?
No.
Right, but all the students, you should know this. And I recommend all the students, that document of 74 pages, everyone should read. If you read it, you will have the confidence. I do understand. Just by reading the headlines of the various newspapers also, you can have that much of stuff which is sufficient to give the answers in an interview. But actually to have more confidence and a deeper understanding, reading all the 74 pages, I would recommend a lot. Okay, okay. So it was about the review, Indian economy.
Not
review as
very
well.
deep in that,
Okay.
just one or two questions here or there.
Okay. Then
Then
what
there
else?
was a very hypothetical question by the main panelist. He said, "You're a fresher. Why are you joining PGDM course at IMI specifically?" So I said, so to enhance my skills, because after graduation I was not looking up for a professional career
Okay.
unless I did not say unless, he added unless you get a very nice package or what. So I said no, so that's not a very point of concern. Then he added, what if I give you 20 lakh per annum in your hand, and what will you consider, still an MBA or pursuing a job?
Okay, okay, okay. So what answer did you give to this
So
question?
I said, so no doubt the money, no doubt the salary would be huge for a very early stage of my career at just the age of 21. But I said that MBA in the long run will actually help me figure out my whole life. My goals will intact and align towards the
Absolutely.
life.
That seems to be logical answer. So students, what will be your answer for this particular question? For a fresher graduate, if the panel says, if we give you a package of 20 lakhs, and then you will have to compare either to go for MBA or to go for the job. So what are you going to decide, and what will be the possible reasons for that? So such a question, these are basically the best logical questions. They genuinely test the ability of the student. They generally test the presence of mind of the student. And do understand, all the students, whenever a question comes, don't directly jump upon the answer. Listen to the question with patience, take 1 or 2 seconds of time. And if you want to have more time, you can actually beg for some more time from the panel. Take 10-15 seconds, prepare the answer, think properly, and then try to give the answer. So there is no need to get panicked. Okay. Okay. So after this,
The extempore happened, and it was
at last.
At the last, it was the
Okay,
last
and
question.
what was the topic?
The topic was it was directly related to the hypothetical question of that 20 lakh per annum's in hand money. He said what the transformation Vanshita will have after the 2 years of MBA. So you have to elaborate in
Okay.
2 minutes your
Okay,
life and
okay.
your transformation that you will gain just at IMI.
Okay, okay, okay. So this becomes a kind of topic like, and we used to discuss in our classes,
Yeah.
what expectations you have from this MBA degree. And believe me, students, you people have to keep your answers very much engaging. Okay. See, it's not only about giving the answer to the, it's all about having a very good conversation with the panel. The panel should feel like, yes, discussing with the student, talking with the student is genuinely a fun, and there is so much to talk, there's so much to ask, there is so much to know. So please keep your answers more engaging. The students whose language is not very good, possibly you may be struggling with your English, but still, even if your English is not very good, but if the answers are engaging, the thoughts are good, content is clear, I think cracking any interview will be very much possible. Any other thing, Vanchita?
The last thing they asked was, do you have any questions for us? So before the interview, I was actually visiting the IMI's website, and I happened to notice that they had different committees and there were different clubs. They were separated in
Okay.
this category.
Okay.
So I mentioned that your finance club do have events, but are there events under the cell that you have that is Invista? That's for the investment strategy. So it was mentioned they just run blogs and social media pages,
Okay.
but there was no mentioning about the events. So I generally asked that, do you have events under that cell as well and under the finance cell as well? So they ensured me that there are a lot of cells, and there are so much events that are engaging for all the students. Secretaries and the council members are from the freshers as well to the final year MBA students.
Okay.
So that was one question that I asked, and that was all for the.
Okay. So finally, how the panel were looking actually, confident or not, or blank?
To be very honest, I am not really sure about the male panelist. He was kind of very engaged towards some of the paperwork he was doing. So, but I was really enjoying the conversation with the female panelist. She was very nice.
And see, all the students try to understand. Sometimes it becomes the strategy of the panelist as well. So possibly they may not be so rude in the real life. They actually tend to show that. See, try to understand whatever may be the approach of the panelist, but our approach has to be very positive. Okay, always try to give the answer with a smile. Don't try to assess yourself on the basis of the kind of impression which the panelist is giving. So whatever impression the panelist is giving, whatever body language he is showcasing, let us not focus on that. You just enjoy the questions. You just enjoy what answers you are giving. So focus has to be on your inner self rather than what the panelist is trying to possibly by their facial gestures, what actually they want to reflect. So don't judge yourself on the basis of that. So that becomes the final piece of advice. And students, I believe that whatever things Vanchita shared with you, it's going to help you a lot, and especially the students who are planning to specialize in the field of finance. A lot of questions pertaining to that can be there. Okay. So all the students, see you soon in the next video. And I guess Vanchita ने जो भी शेयर किया उसके लिए एक लाइक और एक अच्छा सा कमेंट तो बनता है, कम से कम लाइक तो बनता है. And keep sharing these videos with your friends also. And if you have not subscribed the channel, please do that. So see you soon. Thank you very much, and thank you, Vanchita.
Thank you, sir.